How long do you mean to keep this up? What is it you imagine I've done? Enough, enough, I say. It's over then. I sold maps and rations to the Empire. It was I. I meant no harm. I only wanted the coin. The whalers are good, strong. I was proud to join their ranks. Am proud, but they do not provide. They preach justice, honor, duty, but in the end, it is those with money who do as they will, who live as they will. So I sought an opportunity to change my fortunes and took it. All I've done for money. Endangered myself, my home, everything and everyone I love. Why, my actions have put your life in danger too. Though you do not yet realize how much. Bloody idiot. Did you imagine that you had cornered me? It is not I who is cornered. Carlians, I brought you the here. Yeah, that's not very nice. Permit me a question, if you will. Are all adventurers so deluded as to believe they can challenge the power of Garlemald? You would need a veritable mountain of gil to fund such an endeavor. Such is the cost of fighting great power, or of making it, or of remaking it as we will Gridania. So that's the way of it. Swapped your hard bunk at the barracks for a featherbed in Garlemald, did ye? You there, here. You stand here at old Busk's wish, no? Then you don't stand alone. Nod of approval. And now they die. Holy moly. He got rocked. Legless Laurentius. He's legless, alright. I thought he said you scum have no allergies for a second. I look like I'm fighting a bush. Oh, there's a couple more enemies. Impossible. How did you bet's the Empire's finest? With bandits and poachers at your side. They are your sworn enemies. Why do they fight with you and not against you? Ah, but I know the answer only too well. Bhaskaran. This is his doing. His words are wont to inspire men to act. Better men than I. Gods, what have I become? What have I done? I am sorry. No more will I pursue this folly. No more lies. No more bribes. I will go to the Order of the Twin Adder and confess my crimes. There is something I would like you to tell Bhaskaran. Tell him Laurentius the Fool says thank you. I feel as though a veil has been lifted from before my eyes. Yeah, he's gonna go back to the Empire. We should probably follow him. But we're not going to. What is going on here? Holy crap, I have to kill so many of these things. I'm kind of mixed on big numbers because part of me wants to like I'd say 9 times out of 10 I prefer smaller numbers. It gives you a better like understanding of when you're doing big damage and how your numbers, how your equipment changes your damage and everything. But on the other hand, like I've always loved hitting 4 9s, you know, like as a kid, the first time you hit 9s, you're like, oh yeah, that's it. That's the one, you know? the dopamine hit from hitting the max the game will allow you to hit is pretty great. And I think that they've carried that pretty well throughout the games until they randomly got rid of it. But I always thought that that was one of the better things that they did was having the game slowly build up to 9s in the originals. So I don't know, it's kind of a give or take. And then like there's certain games where big numbers just always feel good, like pinball games, for example. There's a reason that pinball games, everything's in the millions, because like it's a bigger dopamine hit for people to hit 10 million points. And you know, with pinball and the way that it's fast paced and you know, it's more of a arcadey experience, it makes sense to have the numbers be that big. But for RPGs, 9 times out of 10, I prefer the numbers to be as low as possible, I think. Honestly, I don't really mind one way or the other. The only time where it frustrates me is when the game starts with really big numbers. You know what I mean? Like, as long as it starts with small numbers, then either stays at small numbers so I can follow it, or goes up to really big numbers, because then you get the dopamine hit of like, oh my god, at the start of the game I was doing 2 damage and now I'm doing 2 million. But when it starts high, it just feels frustrating. It's like, I can't follow this. I'm already doing 10,000 damage, and then by the time you're doing 1 million, you're like, well, that doesn't even feel like that big of a deal because I start off doing 10,000. Like, you kind of lose, you lose the best of both worlds. If you start with high numbers, you get the worst of both worlds, you know? So that's the only time where it frustrates me, is when the game starts off too high. But as long as it starts off low, I could see the argument for both. I could see the argument for having it scale to crazy numbers, or I could see the argument of it just like staying pretty low. Laurentius confessed to his crimes. I just had word from the Twin Adder. Seems he marched straight into the nest and gave himself up. The lad's had quite a life, you know. His mother was killed by a brigand when he was only small. As a young man, he joined the Whalers, hoping to spare his fellow Grenadians the misery he'd known growing up. Trouble is, protecting Grenada is too big a job for one man, and he came to believe that he couldn't make a difference, that it was hopeless. There are a few things more dangerous than desperation, and a man lost in the dark is easily drawn to the glimmer of coin. That's a really interesting quote. A man lost in the dark is easily drawn to the glimmer of coin. I reckon he thought that if he couldn't change the lot of his fellow man, he might as well change his own. Thing is, he was making a difference, just not on his own. Somehow, he'd failed to grasp one simple truth, that those things we cannot do alone, we must do together. Hey? He asked you to thank me, did he? Then there's some good in him yet. I just hope them at the Adder's Nest are able to see it. What he's done ain't easy to forgive, but I'd like to think he'd be afforded a chance to make amends. But let us leave fates to the 12. I have other news for you, Petra. The Sylph Elder has been found. Do I do this, or do I go back? I mean, I think at this point, I should just keep going, and then next week, I can start off by doing the monk thing. It's taken us a fair old while, but we finally got our hands on some reliable information concerning the whereabouts of your missing green friend. Ahem. His name is Frixio, and he is the eldest among the sylphs of Little Solace, long as he represented his kind in dialogue with the Gridanians. Listen, Papa, you're the one that came over while I was doing my thing and made a mess of everything and made yourself look like a fool, so don't act like now you're all pompous like, hey, he has a name, you know. Like, screw you. You screwed it up before. Yes, he's like a bridge between us and them, a small leafy green bridge that we can't find at the moment. And bridges are no use if you don't know where they are. Wow, wow. We went from the darkness of a man makes it easier for him to see the glitter of coin to a small leafy green bridge that we can't find at the moment, and bridges are no use if you don't know where they are. There's an abandoned dungeon called the Thousand Maws of Totorock here in the South Shroud. 'Twas by the entrance of the place that Frixio was seen, and not long ago neither. If you hurry, I reckon you'll find him. Walking ones, please help this one. This one needs help. Needs help to help Elder One. Poor Frixio. Poor Frixio. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold your chocobos. Take a deep breath and tell us what's wrong, nice and slow. Elder One went into Totorock, but has not returned. This one is worried, still very worried. And you're right to be. The place fair crawls with nasties waiting to make a meal of anyone daft enough to wander in. What in the seven hells was he thinking entering the bloody death trap? Elder One had no choice. Imperial ones were chasing Elder One. Please, walking ones must help Elder One. Help Elder One now! Ah, the fates conspire against us. Forgive my pragmatism, but Frixio is our best hope of reaching an accord with the Sylphs. Were we to lose him, all our efforts thus far would have been for naught. I will tend to her wounds. Ida, make haste to the Aider's Nest and request assistance. Understood. Petra, go to the Thousand Maws of Totorock and see that Frixio comes to no harm. Peace between man and sylph rests upon your success. Not an approval. I mean, a lot of times people wearing blindfolds, like blind monks, are usually pretty wise. They say if you wear a blindfold all the time, it heightens your other senses. Which, I mean, intelligence isn't a sense, but... By order of the Elder Seed Seer, the dungeon known as the Thousand Maws of Totorock has been placed under the control of... What? The Sylph Elder is inside? And are you sure about this? How in the seven hells did he manage to sneak by? God strike me down for a purblind fool. You must find the Sylph Elder before he falls prey to the fiends within. Entrance to Totorock is ordinarily restricted, but these are exceptional circumstances. Pray assemble a rescue party and enter as soon as you are ready. Kind of perfect timing. We have 30 minutes left. It's dungeon time. I would like to register for the Call of Duty. Let's just hope the game doesn't freak out while I'm down here. Interesting song. What is this? First Spear Rydell. Dangerous fauna encountered upon entering cave. Calling as permission parameters. Expect to encounter more as we press deeper. Holy crap. Forgot we have the Marauder. Who just Leroy Jenkins into every fight. The awful slow puddles. Should I even ask what those are? Slow debuff. Can't be any worse than the 12 traps. Just walking along and suddenly, hey, you can't fight for the next 30 seconds and or are dead. With no auto-saving. Whoa, do you see the thaumaturge, like, skiing? That's kind of wild. I get this is an MMO thing and the priorities are a little different, but if that last line was divorced from context, it would be wild. Imagine if every game with DLC went back and made the main story easier so only the DLC was hard. Yeah. I mean... It's weird, I don't know. I feel the same way. Like, in a normal circumstance, I would say that a regular game should not be changed really at all, like balance-wise. Like, once it releases, for the most part, it should stay the same. So everyone gets the same experience, and you can always go back and have that same experience again. That's just kind of Deathy Boomer, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. But at the same time, you know, if something's broken or something was unintended to be that difficult or that easy, then like patching it after the fact isn't a bad idea. But once you kind of get it to where it was supposed to be, I would prefer they just leave it, and if they want to make something harder or easier, make a DLC. But when it comes to MMOs, like, it makes sense, kind of. If the DLC is the real quote-unquote end game and everyone's just trying to get to the end game in MMOs, then perhaps it's better to continually change the earlier content to be quicker and quicker as the DLC comes out and becomes harder and harder, you know? I wouldn't want it that way, but I can understand it, at least as an argument. See, but I don't think that, like, I've been through this argument a lot. You can't just allow players to play it the way it was originally intended and say, like, that's a solution all the time. Because if it's available to the player, they're not going to want to play it any other way. It's hard to describe, but it's just kind of one of those things, like... Engaged with sizable fiends, succeeded in exterminating but casualties mounting, must consider turning back if situation worsens. It's hard to explain, but like if you have a game that's a certain difficulty and then you remaster the game to make it easier, but you put in a mode that's like, hey, if you want the original experience, here it is. That doesn't necessarily completely fix the problem. You're still gonna have a lot of people playing it just the default way, and then either complaining or not getting the same experience. And that's fine, you can have whatever experience you want, but it's not gonna make all the boomers happy. Like me, who wants everyone to experience. Like when Final Fantasy VII came out, when the PS4 version came out, and you had the cheats from the start, I remember being kind of frustrated. Like, you know, call it Death You Boomer if you want, but I felt like a lot of people were gonna get, these are awesome by the way, I felt like a lot of people were gonna get a different Final Fantasy VII experience than what I grew up with, because they could just ×3 or God mode through things and then tell me that they played Final Fantasy VII. And like, you did, but you played a different version, you know? But over the years, I've kind of come to the realization that in the end, that's honestly a good thing. You're only going to get more people to play the game if you're stuck in your ways of being like, everyone has to play the game the way I played it. Then you're just going to kind of have less people play the game overall. And it's only going to be bad for the game, you know? And there's some games that very much benefit from that. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age. And like, we both agreed that Zodiac Age, the Zodiac Age having the ×4 ability literally makes it a better year. Like, Zodiac Age is by far the best way to play 12. It really fixes a lot of the problems, having the ×12 available and also all the other changes, but like 12 Zodiac Age is a genius remake. And if any game ever benefited from having like a ×4 or like a cheat from the start, it's 12. So, you know, in that case, if I had been a boomer and said, no, everyone has to play 12 the slow way that I played it on, you know, the 150 episode Let's Play that I did with the slow PS2 version, everyone has to play it that way or else they're not truly playing it, then that just means no one's gonna play it. Like, that just means that very little people are gonna go back and experience it. They're just gonna play something else. So, and like, I think about my kids too, and how like when they grow up, they're gonna be playing games that I grew up with. And I don't necessarily want them to play the slow, you know, mind-numbing grind of the original Final Fantasy XII. Like, I would much rather them just play Zodiac Age, you know, and they're still getting, for the most part, the experience I got, but they're playing a better version. So, I think I've definitely changed my opinion a lot on that. Now, I still don't want people playing through the entirety of Final Fantasy VII PS4 on God mode and then going on Twitter and being like, wow, Final Fantasy VII's so easy. Like, obviously that's a problem. But for the most part, sensible human beings aren't doing that. So, gotta have faith in people, I guess, which is sometimes a hard thing to do, but... Yeah, I want people playing Final Fantasy VII normally and then going on Twitter and saying it's too easy. Because then they'd just be correct. If you play the whole game on God mode and then say it's too easy, you're both correct and incorrect, okay? It's the way you said it, alright? It's the principle of the thing, guys, okay? Which game had an experience null ability? All the Kingdom Hearts, if you play on Proud, do. Well, if we're including the HD remakes, because original Kingdom Hearts 1 didn't. I'm trying to remember if original Kingdom Hearts 2 didn't either. I don't remember. But yeah, all of the HD remakes of all the Kingdom Hearts games have a XP0. Oh my god, look at that poison. That you can turn on and off anytime you want, which is cool. Take that. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think it's only the HD remakes. I mean, let's be honest. RPGs in general are just very hard to balance. And when Final Fantasy VII came out, they had every intention of having a lot of people that have never played an RPG play Final Fantasy VII, especially in America. So it's no wonder that they didn't make the game brutally hard, you know? They didn't want to alienate people that legitimately didn't even know how RPGs worked. Like me, for example. I mean, it's funny to think, because of how much I talk about challenge and how I care about challenge, and I wish Final Fantasy VII was harder. But to be completely honest with myself, if Final Fantasy VII was harder, like really hard as I would want it now, I probably would have hated it as a kid. And maybe quit it and never beat it, and then never ended up going back, and then never ending up it being my favorite game. Because, like, I remember struggling through it as a kid, because I struggled through every video game as a kid. And I loved it so much that I was willing to struggle through it to beat it. But if it was even harder, I don't know, I may have given up. And then been like, you know what, this game blows, I can't beat it. And then not played it again until I was like a young adult. And by that time, a lot of the charm would have been gone, you know? So I don't know. The fact that Final Fantasy VII is easier might be part of the reason why it's my game. And that might have been by design, because they knew a lot of people would be playing RPGs for the first time on PS1. Exactly. I'd still be a Call of Duty content creator. There's some weird other timeline where I became a Call of Duty esport player, and then probably moved on to other FPSs because I got sick of Call of Duty. There's some weird scenario where I became like a Apex Legends pro or something. I could have been a Fortnite master. An alternate timeline where I unironically became a Fortnite pro. I don't know. I don't think so, because even if Final Fantasy VII, even if I hadn't like switched gears into becoming Final Fantasy whatever, what's the word I'm looking for? Variety streamer or variety content creator. when I first got into Call of Duty, I got into it skill-wise, making montages and stuff. But I pretty quickly changed from trying to be an esports pro to making movies and machinima and turning my content into like more art. And the very first video I ever made that got popular was a tutorial. So like I think if I hadn't changed over to, I honestly think if I hadn't changed over to like Final Fantasy VII tutorials, I would have been making Call of Duty tutorials, because I made a couple and really enjoyed them, and then I made the Final Fantasy VII tutorial and that blew up and I liked that just as much. But if that hadn't blown up, or if I was living in a weird timeline where I didn't like Final Fantasy VII, I think the tutorial thing would have still been my go-to, and so I would have been making tutorials on either FPSs, or at that time I was also starting to get into trophies. So, and I made a War at War trophy guide that got pretty popular, and I thought about continuing that series, and then Final Fantasy happened. So maybe I would have been like a achievement hunter style content creator, doing like tutorials for achievements, trophies and stuff. Just tutorials in general, because I was big into doing tutorials for a long time, and that's how the Final Fantasy content started, was the tutorials. So I'd probably still be making like tutorial content if I had to guess, and it probably would have been of like trophies and achievements, because that's what I was into and still are into now. So that's my guess. I would have been a achievement hunter style tutorial channel mixed with whatever other things I would want to do.
Darkness.
Elko Hidra Buglo Hats. Seastapon Rajiadorn. Thagon Welrog. Tosan Opaiki. Mayhap I might if I deign to speak in my guest crude tongue. We meet at last. I am Lahabrea of the Asians, servant to the one true God. Yours is a most fantastical tale, truly absorbing. It is a tale to tell Eorzea's children before bedtime, and it will soon be dark, bringer of light.
The dark minions.
All that stands between this world and darkness is an irksome anomaly in the ether. The Echo. Yes. Yours is a most fascinating tale. Alas, like all good tales, it must needs come to an end. But fear not.
Here, feel the presence of evil.
Evil.
For the end of your tale is but the beginning of another. The tale of the crystal's demise.
Yeah. I got Kingdom Hearts vibes from that song too. In this song. Well, this guy looked a lot bigger in the cutscene. What was the name of that attack? Uh-oh. Sticky web. That's not what I read. Way to get poisoned, guys. Oh god, they just took big damage. Yeah, to be fair, wearing cloaks and talking about darkness is kind of just a Square Enix thing now, not even a Kingdom Hearts thing. It's just kind of in every game now. Thousand Screams. Okay, we won't be listening to that. Music roll for 1,000 Screams. I'll pass on that. Oh, I'm gonna lose my materia already. Ooh. Hey. Some fine equipment. A set of arms containing frostbite and a... Huh. Why was that an item? Kind of weird. I see. Oh my god, she's got little grandma glasses. Finally, fresh air. Mayhap not so fresh, but better than before. Ah, Sinister One is gone. This one can leave this awful place. Did Walking One vanish the many-legged one? This one is grateful to Walking One. This one is called Frixio, eldest of these ones of Little Solace. I know I came to rescue you. But I guess I'll just go to bed instead. Alpha Squad reporting, sir. Nothing of note at Larkskull, sir. What is this, Call of Duty? Alpha Squad? Understood. Return to Area 12. Damn it all. Where is that accursed icon hiding? No sign of our wizened friend? I'm afraid not, my lord. Shall I order that the search perimeter be expanded? Absolutely not. We risk alerting the Gradanians of our presence. His Excellency bid us avoid unnecessary confrontation. Loath though I am to admit it, I have found no evidence to suggest that Ramuh will be gracing the mortal realm in the near future. I ask you, what good is a god who does not grant one's wishes? Were I a sylph, should strongly consider finding myself another idol. Which reminds me, what of the sylphs we captured? A handful of them seemed to be in reasonably good health when last I looked. Apologies, my lord. I fear we may have been overzealous in our efforts to compel them to summon their icon. Really, Centurion? Were you not aware that vegetables bruise easily? It is well that I did not entrust you with the important task of making my dinner. What? Good lord. They're like so comically evil. Like, what? You killed them? Man, good thing I didn't have you make my food, because you would have killed that too. The much more important thing of making my dinner. Well, mayhap it was a kindness. Better dead in truth than dead to one's own god, I suppose. If you believe in such things. Dawn is upon us. Make ready to withdraw. Useless. We are so close to completion. I can fair taste it, but at this rate... No, I must be patient. Our efforts will bear fruit in due time. When was it you always said... Or what was it you always said? Ah, yes. Though it mean bringing down the very heavens, who shall challenge the limits of possibility if not we? In that alone, we were right, Garland. Were you right, Garland? But your star is long fallen, while mine doth begin to rise. And it shall burn so bright, that Lord Van Balsar's ultimate weapon will seem a mere candle beside it. Bah ha ha ha! Alright. Those walking ones did for Noxia. This one is certain of it. This one fears that others taken ones also suffered the same fate. This one is convinced walking ones have black hearts, seek only to harm these ones. Walking ones are not to be trusted. Now, Neroxia, do not pass judgment too hastily. Not all walking ones are alike. Though there are evil ones among the walking ones, there are good ones also. Does walking one feel unwell? This one would know. What brings walking one to this place? Came to this one's rescue at Neroxia's bidding. Then this one owes walking one a debt of gratitude. Walking one has questions about Lord Ramuh? Then this one will provide answers. But first, let these ones quit this lightless place. This one will return to little solace. When walking one is ready, please come and see this one. These ones may speak properly then. Then it is settled. Let this one accompany walking one outside. She makes some interesting noises. Like, whoa, wait up. Yeah, there's, Should I just quit here? Actually, you know what? Let's do this. There's two ways to do the main villain of a story, or the main villain empire of a story. You either do the villain that is like, in the end, evil, but you can understand their point of view. It makes you question whether or not they're really evil or not, or if you're the evil one, or, you know, like, you have to take care of them for the better of everyone, but you can relate to them and understand them, and they end up being more of a ill-fated hero rather than a villain, right? Or you just go with the comically evil, there's no possible way they could ever be redeemed character. And they're definitely got like the Disney villain which is definitely what they're going for in this game. Like, the Empire is so comically evil, and like they're even like killing each other. Like, there was that scene where it was just like they were just killed one of his soldiers, and they're already showing like several of the people trying to backstab each other. So like, not only are they evil in terms of like where we are, but they're even evil against each other. Like, they're just so like ridiculously evil, which is cool. Like, it's not bad, or like either way is fine. It's just funny how far on this end of the spectrum they are. Like, it's just completely pure evil. It's funny. But anyways, that's gonna be it for Final Fantasy XIV today. I don't have a lot to say other than just I'm still really enjoying everything. The combat is still fun, and I'm starting to really get used to like combos and stuff, and the combos are starting to feel like I'm really doing something, and I'm not just like mindlessly pushing buttons. I'm definitely mindlessly pushing buttons sometimes, but like especially that one area I went to for my pugilist quest, where I legitimately had to like pull enemies and pay attention to my combos and pay attention to my health bar. That was something that I don't often feel in an MMO, at least not until later, right? So to feel that now, even though people are saying like the game is a lot easier now, being able to do a quest that's a bit out of my pay grade and actually be challenged is something that I was really excited about. And the main quests are still fun. I'm enjoying the story. The characters we're meeting are really cool. I like the decision we had to make. And yeah, like this whole Sylph quest, actually, I really kind of enjoyed. So yeah, this game is continuing to break the mold in terms of what an MMO can be and have an actual engaging, interesting story. It's not by any means blowing my mind, but I'm enjoying it. And the combat is, dare I say, the best combat I've played in MMO. Like, it's very fun to go around and fight stuff, and even though it is a bit like I'm a bit mindlessly killing at times, other times I actually feel like I'm way more engaged than I ever was in Final Fantasy XI, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm loving it. Can't wait to play more. Again, really enjoying our conversations and everything people have to say about the game, and it's helping me understand more about MMOs in general and this community in general and what makes this game different from other MMOs. And I've enjoyed reading the comments on YouTube as well about your opinions on the game and how you felt about your playthroughs. Some people have commented about going back to the game now that I'm starting it and realizing some differences and talking about their experiences. So that's been really interesting to hear as well. But yeah, with that, we will be out for today, and we will see you in the next episodes of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantathon. We will see you there. Peace.